Good morning, JD Parker students, and welcome to day 7 of virtual learning. Today is Tuesday, April 7th, and we are going to continue on with fractions. So the reminders for today are please rewatch the video or any part of the video if you need to. Also, if you have questions, send them to me. You can do it through the Google Docs that's connected below, or you can do it through Dojo or even email. Also, believe in yourself. I believe in every one of you. And I know this has been difficult, but you are doing it and you are learning. And this is a new and exciting time for us where we're learning through the internet. Believe in yourself. All right, so the standard is the same as it was last week, and it's going to be the same next throughout this entire week. NF 2.4 is multiplying a fraction by a whole number, or we'll even jump into more of those multiplying a mixed number by a whole number. Now, NF23 was adding and subtracting fractions in mixed numbers, but this is just one step up because instead of now adding, we're going to be multiplying, and multiplication is just skip counting with adding. So here we go with yesterday's question of the day. And I am going to switch this over so we can see our whiteboard. Now we're going to go over our questions. The little purple monster here says, is the answer going to be greater than or less than 3/4? So you have question number 1. Rick cut a sheet of paper into 4 strips. I always like to draw out and I stop just to get a good idea. So here's my sheet of paper. It's cut into 4 strips. Doesn't matter if we cut it this way or this way. Honestly, we just need 4 equal strips. Each strip was 3/4 of an inch wide. So that means that's going to be 3/4, that's going to be 3/4, 3/4, and 3/4. How wide was the paper? So we're basically adding the length all the way down. So if this is 3/4, this is 3/4, this is 3/4, this is 3/4. And we need to figure out how many that is all together, which means we are going to be adding them. Or you can multiply 3 times however many you see here. But a visual for us, let me back up to the visual part for those of you who like the visual. This is my benchmark of a half. Now I need to cut it again and again. 1, 2, 3 out of 4. 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 I just illustrated 3/4. 1, 2, 3, 4 times. So here is the problem. And it's 4 times. So is this answer going to be bigger than 3/4 or smaller than 3/4? Well, it's going to be bigger because we're basically adding 3/4 4 times. So 3, 6, 9, 12. We're basically adding, skip counting. If you were to put this into a fraction form, remember the denominator will be 1, and that just means it's not cut, it's one big piece. And I have 4 of them, so I have 4 wholes. But this is the magical way to turn a whole into a fraction. So 4 times 3 is 12, and then 1 times 4 is 4. 12/4 is the answer, or if you counted 3 4 times, you also would have got 12, and then there was 4 pieces in each. You could have done a number line or any other strategy you like to solve that. So the answer is D. Number 1 is D. Now, this could have been reduced. You could have, remember, division And fractions are the same thing. You could have taken the numerator and turned it into your dividend here, and then take your denominator, and he's the worker, the divisor, and he is going to jump inside the box and he's going to pull out as many groups of himself as he can. He is a 4. So 1 times 4? Nope. 2 times 4, but 3 times 4 will give you a perfect 12. So the answer is actually 3. 3 inches wide is how wide the paper was cut, but this is the fraction form. Moving on to number 2, the cute little purple monster asks, when you multiply a whole number by a fraction, do you multiply the whole number by the numerator or the denominator? That is a great question. I have been saying this same question over and over many times, and some of you got it and understood right away. Some of you are still confused. So he's basically saying when you have a whole number and you multiply it by a fraction, a numerator and a denominator, what do you multiply this whole number by? The numerator or the denominator? Well, the answer is the numerator, of course, because when you take your whole number and you turn him into a fraction, you do that by putting him over the denominator of 1 to show that he is not cut up. He is one big piece. So this times this will give you the answer up here. And then this times this will give you the answer here. Whole number times numerator will give you a new numerator for the answer here, and the denominator would be the denominators multiplied together. So keeping that in mind, let's work out the next problem. It says Diane walked her dog 4/10 of a mile on 5 days this week. 4/10 of a mile on 5 days this week. This is our whole, and I should have drew it bigger there for you. 5 times, probably Monday through Friday, she walked this far in miles. So, how far did she walk her dog this week? Now, you could use a little trick that we just talked about, which I find is the easiest, and you're going to use it your whole life. You turn your whole number into a fraction, and how you do that is you turn your whole number into the numerator. And then the denominator is just a 1 because it's not cut up in any pieces. It's just one big piece. This denominator tells me it has 10 pieces when it's done being cut up. So it would look something like that. But this is one big piece, and I have 5 of them. So 5 times 4 equals 20. And then 1 times 10 equals 10. So 20/10 of a mile is how far she walked in those 5 days. So this is the correct answer, and you could have illustrated it with a number line, skip counting. Let's just skip count. 4/10, 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we're not going to mess with the denominator because we are totally using addition here. So they're all going to be 10, and even the answer is going to have a 10 for a denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 5 fours, which is 20. Now, it says in our question that Zoe chose A. She chose 20/50, 20/50ths. How did she get that answer? Well, she did it wrong. So let's think. How did she get 20/50ths if the problem was 5 times 4/10? Let me see if I can figure it out. You do the same. Do you see it? Do you see what she did? She said 5 times 4 is 20. That part's right. But do you see what she did right here? Oh no, Zoe, you did the wrong thing. This is a numerator. This is not a denominator. She's now saying 5 times 4 and 5 times 10. So she's thinking 5 is the same thing as 5 over 5. And that is not. When the number is the same in the numerator as it is in the denominator, that is one giant 1 there. That's basically showing you this. 5 pieces, and all 5 are colored in. That's just a 1. That is not right. I need to show 5 wholes. 1 is my whole, and I need 5 of them. That is how it should have been written. But what Zoe did was she put the 5 in the numerator and the denominator, and then she got the wrong answer. So that is incorrect. So what did Zoe do wrong? Well, the correct answer is C, but Zoe multiplied the whole number to the numerator and then the whole number to the denominator. And the last question. Leo feeds his cat 2/3 of a can of cat food 2 times a day. There is your multiplication equation for 1 day. The question goes on. So it says Leo is going out of town for 3 days. How many cans of food does Leo need to give his neighbor to feed his cat? So inside your head, if you don't have a cat, and I know a lot of you do, but if you don't, cat food comes with this little thing that you pop open on the top there. I'm not the best drawer in the world, but something like that is what cat food looks like. And when you pop that can open, it has a whole bunch of cat food inside. It's filled. So the cat needs to have 2/3 twice a day. That's thirds. I'm cutting it into thirds. So this is going to be the morning, AM, AM. He needs 2 more for the evening. We got to get out another can of cat food. So let me go ahead and get out another can of cat food here. We're going to open up that lid, and there you go. There's my pink food for this kitty. Now I need to give him 2/3 again. So how I'm going to do that, that's the evening, PM. And let's just go ahead and do PM. And hopefully the neighbor will cut his thirds better than I cut my thirds. So this is how much he needs a day. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 pieces a day out of 3. And I could have solved that very easily by taking my whole number and multiplying it by the numerator, because you can turn any whole into a fraction just by adding a denominator of 1. 2 times 2 is 4, and 1 times 3 is 3. 4/3 of a can, so that means he's going to need a whole can plus 1 more, which is actually 1 1/3, or 4/3 in the fraction form, is what he needs every day. We need 3 days worth. So this is day 1. I need day 2, and then again day 3. So you can continue to draw out 2 more circles to give you a total of 3 days, or you can take your fraction, and it doesn't matter if I write that first or the whole number first, and multiply it times 3. 3 wholes. So 3 wholes, and I could have wrote it this way instead. For those of you who do not like me switching up things, they're both the same thing. This is a fact family. So I can now multiply my numerator to my whole number. So let me go ahead and use this one down here, because I know you like that. I changed my whole number into a fraction form, which just means I added a 1 for the whole to symbolize it's a whole. So now I have 3 days, 3 whole days, and I need 4/3 of a can each day. 3 times 4 is 12. And then multiply your denominators. Don't do what was her name? Zoe did, and she multiplied a numerator. Don't do that. Denominator to denominator, numerator to numerator, and that's how you write it. 12/3. If you were to have drawn this out, I would need 1 whole for day 1, 1 whole for day 2, and 1 whole for day 3. Then I would also need a part for the day 1 part, 1/3. Day 2 could have got another part, and then day 3 could have got another part. So I'm basically have 1/3 each day. So I have 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, plus a third. And that would give me 1 whole plus 1, 2, 3, 4 wholes. 4 wholes is the same thing as 12/3 because if you drop the 12 down inside the division box and turn your denominator into the divisor will jump inside that box, look at that dividend, and say, I need to pull out as many 3s as possible. 3 times 1 is only 1 3. 3 times 2, oh, that's 6. 3 times 3 is 9. We're getting there. But 3 times 4 is 12. And now you're left with nothing left over. So the answer is 12/3. That means you need 12 pieces. I apologize for that. You need 12 pieces when they're cutting up to thirds. So you need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 4 cans. You need to give them 4 cans of food. So what 2 numbers can you multiply to find out how many times the neighbor needs to feed Leo's cat? How many times he needs to walk next door and feed the cat? Well, morning and night, 3 days, right? Morning and night, morning and night. So right here it says 2 times a day. There's your morning and night, 3 days. So he needs to walk next door 6 times. But he needs to only give the cat 2/3 each time. Right here.